Hi, Lisa here from Continental Drift Knits. Welcome to, I have no clue what episode it is, it'll be on the screen. And this is all about the trip to Seattle and the cruise that I took with the Grocery Girls. So I hope you enjoy it. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask me down below. You can also follow me on Instagram as Continental Drift Knits and on Ravelry as CDK Podcast. So, where am I today? New Zealand. I'm in my swingy chair. And excuse the hair, that got washed this morning. I've left my straightener in Australia. I've left every stick of makeup in Australia. So, not that I wear makeup very often, so you don't see me very often with makeup. So, I washed the hair this morning and let it self-dry, and this is what it does. So, in about an hour, I'll put it up in a ponytail because I won't be able to stand it, but that's okay. Enough with the hair. So, I went on the Grocery Girls Knit Alaska cruise. I can't remember what dates it was now. I think it was about 3 weeks ago. I've been back in Australia and New Zealand for 2.5 weeks. Been back here in NZ for 2 weeks. And I was back in Australia for 3 days. So we finished on the Sunday and we started the Saturday before that. Or maybe we finished on the Saturday. Yeah, we embarked on the Saturday morning, and we disembarked the following Saturday morning. We left from Seattle and we went up through the Inside Passage into Alaska, and we visited places like Juneau, Sitka, Ketchikan. The ship went into the Glacier Bay National Park. That was remarkable. I think on the way back we stopped at Victoria on Vancouver Island, and then back to Seattle. Had an amazing time, absolutely amazing time. So a little bit of background. How did I end up with this? How did I end up on it? I'm going to just grab my cup of tea. Bog standard black tea. Excuse me, I'm nearly finished the coughing after 14 weeks. Yeah, so the Grocery Girls are 2 women, early 50s, grown-up families that have had a podcast for about 7 years. And they're on about once a fortnight. I normally take July off, sometimes a little bit more often. And they decided to run a cruise with knitters and workshops. And I have done 1 or 2 crazy things in terms of retreat / active, like knitting retreat type things. The first one I did was with Stephanie Pearl McPhee. I went to Sock Summit with a friend about 15 years ago. We flew to Portland and we had an amazing time. Never forget that. And then the other thing I did 8 years ago was go to Shetland with Mary Jane Mucklestone and Gudrun Johnson, and that was just amazing. Still would love to go back to Shetland and explore with my husband, and we'll do that one day, but that's okay. So I have form, not regular form, but I have form in terms of making snap decisions, and we were in the really fortunate position. It was released at a very good time for Australians, which is not normal. We don't get to see any of Jodi and Tracie's blogs live because it's about 3 a.m, unless we're silly and get up at that time. So you always watch them on repeat. And anyway, this must have been released at like midnight Florida time or something like that, because it was late afternoon, early evening, like it was just before dinner time. And I said, oh my God, Daryl, that's my husband, the Grocery Girls have just released a cruise, and I've never been on a cruise, and I'm terrified of cruises because I have vestibular issues. So I get a bit dizzy and a bit car sick and that sort of stuff. And I'm like, I don't know that I'd cope. But anyway, frantically rummaging through the terms and conditions to see what the deposit was, and if I decided not to go or we couldn't afford it, then what would I get back? Could I get my money back? So anyway, it was $100, $100 deposit, non-refundable. And that was until about December or March even. And I said to him, okay, I'm going to reserve my spot. So I'm going to go for it. So I reserved my spot, and that particular cruise, they hadn't pre-advertised it. They just said something was coming that was amazing. And the workshop teachers were themselves with a sock workshop, and Hohi Locatelli and Alexa and Emily from Tin Can Knits. And both of those other workshops I have tested for Hohi, and I have just finished a Hohi item. I have 2 others on the needles at the moment, and I've almost always got a Hohi pattern on the needles. So to get a workshop from her would be absolutely amazing. And then Tin Can Knits, I use their patterns all the time. I have all bar 2 of their booklets, I think. And I've knitted blankets, I've knitted Love Note, I've knitted multiple flaxes for little children and bigger children. And I just really love their ethos. They brought out the app, and I use that, the Tin Can Knits app. And so I think beyond just Jodi and Tracie, the other workshops were amazing. So I jumped on board, bought my spot, reserved my spot, and then I was ready to have a think about it and see whether I would go or what would happen. And as it turns out, it was sold out within 24 hours. And yeah, that was a bit of a shock. And it was a bit of a shock. I'd got in and I'm like, ooh. But anyway, I knew if I didn't feel comfortable about going cruising, I could pull out. It was $100 I'd done and I knew there'd be other people that would take the spot if I needed to. So yeah, so that's how I ended up on the Grocery Girls tour, or cruise, Alaska cruise. So what I'm going to do today is just go through what we did, where we went, my observations, what we bought, maybe some footage, and then and I'm just going to encapsulate the cruise on this blog because I think that'll be enough, and I've already talked for 8 minutes. And then since I've been back to New Zealand, I've already been up to Christchurch to the major Christchurch wool show, or South Island wool show, which is Wool Feast. We had 3 days up in Christchurch, had a great time up there, and I've got some acquisitions again. I've really done my dough now. I can't afford anything more. So between pre-purchasing to my sister, between pre-buying, pre-cruise buying, a little bit of cruise buying, and Wool Feast buying, we've done damage. So the stash is enhanced, and the needles have got to start flying. So I'm just going to stop and have my lunch, and then I'm going to come back and talk to you about what we did. Okay, back. Yeah, so what was I saying? I was talking about how I got to be on the cruise. And I think if you've seen my last episode, you would have seen everything up to pre-cruise. So I went and stayed with my sister for a week in Vancouver. Weekend. And then 3 nights in Seattle. And then I joined the cruise. So the night before the cruise, I had dinner with a lovely now friend, Lisa, also from Melbourne, also lives 30 minutes away from myself when I'm in Australia. So that's ironic. Both with grown-up children and both with grandchildren and both with very busy lives. So anyway, we hadn't managed to catch up. We'd been talking a little bit online and we hadn't managed to catch up. So we nervously booked a dinner to have the night before the cruise. So we'd at least met, and that was really lovely. It was a lovely Italian place. And then we decided to we had dinner and decided to meet the next day. So we're pretty independent of each other. We both like being independent. So I think we were conscious of not being in each other's pockets. Correct me if I'm wrong, Lisa. And anyway, we decided we're staying at different hotels. So we decided to meet just keep in touch on the phone and just meet when we got to the terminal. So that's what we did. We met at the terminal, both with our knitting. She'd cruised before, so it wasn't that unfamiliar, and it was all new for me. And so we ended up on the cruise late morning. So basically most people are off the previous cruise by 9:30 and by 11:30 they're starting to load up people, and by 3 they're off, the boat leaves. So it's a very slick, efficient system, and we went on the Holland America line on the ship Eurodam. I think it takes just under 2,000 people, and the knitters there were 90 people attending workshops, and I think there was about 130 in the whole group with partners and friends and that sort of thing. So only the knitters attended the workshops, but all the other events like just sitting and knitting and chatting and having drinks and that sort of thing, dinners, the partners were also there, or some brought their sister, some brought friends. So we were quite a substantial group. We were probably about 10% of the people by the time you added in admin. We were probably just under 10% of the group of the crew, or 7% of the crew. Oh, not the crew, of the people on the boat at the time. So the Eurodam, I decided not to get a veranda room, decided I couldn't really afford that. And so along with many of my fellow travellers, we were on level 1, which was fine. And in fact, it was middle of the boat and it's quite low down, and I quite liked it because it wasn't anywhere near as rocky as the top of the boat. Because if you think about it, the boat goes like that. And so the top is swinging at a larger degree than the bottom. And we were midship, which was very stable. I had a window. The people on the other side of the corridor were internal cabins, so they didn't have windows. But look, it's very comfortable. Along the way, I'll just pop either full screen shots or split screen shots of pictures that I've taken, and things that I've seen, and then I'll put a little bit of vision at the end as well. So we picked up our name tags, which I don't have here. Some of my stuff is still in Melbourne because I just didn't want to bring it all over here for 4 weeks and take it back again. So I've just bought some of it, and I've got pictures of other of it. And we got our swag bags, and we got to meet Jodi and Tracie for the very first time, which was lovely. And I think Lisa and I were the first people, of course, to go and meet and pick up our lanyards. And anyway, so it was lovely. We had a photo, and I'll pop the photo up here, with Jodi and Tracie, and got all our information and our workshop times and all that sort of stuff, and very exciting. So the next, I think, can't remember whether we had dinner. We did have dinner that evening, and so everybody was sat with one of the teachers throughout, at least once through the through the week. So I actually had my teacher table the first night with Alexa and Emily from Tin Can Knits, and they were just delightful. We had just such a lovely time with them. I don't think they'd cruised before, and I don't think Hohe had cruised before, and I don't think Tracie and Jodi had cruised before. So it was really like everyone was just setting out on this big adventure. And of course there was others there that had cruised 10 times plus and knew all the ropes, so they all helped us newbies, which was great. And so we had a lovely dinner, sit down dinner at 7:30. It was quite it's casual, but it's, you know, you just wear a nice jumper or a shirt, or I think it's like, you know, no bathers, no shorts, no bare feet sort of thing. It's like smart casual for dinner. And there is 1 or 2 nights where they ask you to dress up, but that's not elaborate either. So you don't, if you are looking at doing a cruise and you want to know what it was like, it's very comfortable and quite casual generally. So then we had a sleep. That was interesting. It was a little bit rocky. We were going out into the sea to get up. We motored right to our top position and then worked our way back. So we were a day and a half at sea. And to take advantage of that, we did all of our workshops while we were at sea. So the next morning, we all split into 3 groups. We stayed in those groups the whole week, and we rotated through the workshops. So I had Hohe's workshop first, and that was amazing. I'll pop a few pictures up. Hohe basically did a design your drop shoulder cardigan. So she's got about 4 or 5 cardigans based of her designs based on this rough approach. And so she measured us, and she talked us through each step of the way. And as a result, I have this cardigan, which I finished yesterday. I didn't want to blog until I'd finished the cardigan. And as you can see, I'm rather happy with myself. So I am absolutely stoked with that. It's fantastic. So I am very, very happy. I did it in my nightshades, which I showed you on my last blog, that I got at Spin Cycle in Bellingham. And it's American Cormo, and it's just the warmest thing, and I haven't taken it off for 2.5 days. So I am loving it. I haven't put any buttons on. I haven't put any buttonholes. I mean, if I wanted to put buttonholes in, I could probably just sort of sew something open, but I'm not very good with buttons, so I don't tend to use them very much. So just absolutely in love with this. And yeah, so basically from that point on, I became rather obsessed with knitting this, and it was really interesting with some design features. I had wanted to put this little detail in, and as my co-cruisers will know, this caused a lot of angst on my behalf as to whether the detail was too twee or whether it was appropriate given the rest of the structure. So basically there's a garter panel here. So there's a center seam there, and then or pickup line there. So it had a garter panel down the back, garter panel down the front, and all of the edges, including the button band, are all garter. I don't know whether it's easy to see or not. And anyway, I had done the garter, but I hadn't done the detail up into the garter. And so I ummed and I ahed, and I knitted down to about here on the back, and had started this detail. It didn't quite look right. And so I'm going around, and we had every afternoon we had an informal knitting, optional knitting session In fact, there was quite a few optional knitting sessions. And I was like, oh, I don't know what to do. And I was asking all the knitters around me, what should I do? And they were probably 50-50, you know, keep it, get rid of it, whatever. Anyway, I probably vacillated for a couple of hours. And then I said to Hohi, all right, Hohi, what do I need to do? What should I do? And she said, oh, well, the detail should start back here. It should start at the shoulder. I went, oh, yes, of course it should. Like, it was so obvious. So I dropped 6 stitches down, or 8, I think it was 6 or 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches. So I dropped 6 stitches down the garter panel, and I started, and I just wove my way back up to the top with the detail, and it made all the difference. So you can see that there, it goes right to that line. So there's a reason she's a good designer. Well done, Hohi. So then I did the drop shoulder cardigan workshop, and in the afternoon we were just knitting, and we were just busy knitting and lettering and chatting and meeting and getting to know people, which was just lovely. There were 4 Australians on the cruise.
No, I don't understand any of it. Like,
we became known as the contingent. So, yeah, so our days pretty much went like that. We got little notations every day on board. So what we could expect for the day, what things were on the deck, and what was being run. Now, I've got to say, I didn't do any of the ship activities. To be really honest, I was quite sick when I look back, and I'd had the chest infection about 10 weeks before, and I effectively think I had a relapse. I was just not in a good state, and so I was coughing a lot, and I'd taken COVID tests, and I didn't think it was anything viral that I don't know what had kicked it off again. So in the end, I went to the medical centre, and they were great. They said, oh yeah, you're a bit wheezy. So they popped me on steroids, antibiotics, puffer, all the bits, did the COVID test again, you know, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, so I wasn't real well, and it was socially awkward to cough because you're in a group of people and you don't want to be perceived to be giving them something. I had asked the medical doctors, should I wear a mask? And they said, no, look, it's no point. You're probably not viral, given your history. So I was really just about, my absolute focus was the cruise, the knitting cruise. And I sort of figured getting to know 90 knitters, attending everything that Jodi and Tracie put on, and making just sort of coffee stops and yarn shop stops at our stops was enough for me. But you could totally do something completely different if you wanted. There was whale watching, there was seal tours, there was kayaking, there was hiking, there was dog sledding, there was all sorts of things. Now, obviously they all cost money, and that was another part of it. It cost so much for us to get there that in the end I just decided that I was very happy in the end, because I'd been sick. I was really happy that I'd chosen not to do any tours. But we left Seattle, we had a day at sea the next day, and then we went to Juneau in Alaska as our first stop. And Juneau had a lovely, went walking in Juneau. Juneau had a lovely yarn and fabric shop, and I bought some fabrics, which I've got pictures of. But I also bought these two beautiful skeins from Juneau Woolies. They're hand dyed and hand spun in Juneau, Alaska. It's 100% superwash fingering weight, 50 grams, length 290 yards. That one is called Sitka Spruce. That's pretty accurate, actually. And that one is called Aurora, and we can all see what that represents. So I'm really looking forward to using those. I don't really have a plan for them. They might go into my, they might get held double and go into my sweet shop blanket, or you know, they'll make a great hat or something like that. So just a souvenir, couple of souvenir yarns. I also bought some fabric, and no, I don't sew yet, but I bought some fabric there as well. And they gave us a beautiful, I don't have it here, but they gave us a beautiful little shawl collar, a shawl pin, or shawl cuff, and a discount on our, they were very generous on our purchases. I'm just trying to, is it changing tides? I'll put all the details of the shops below so that you can look online if you really like something. Oh, I didn't tell you. So in the swag bag, we've got lots of lovely stuff, including some beautiful Frankie Gray Fibres yarn. And that's a DK weight merino nylon. And it was 224 metre, 245 yard main skein, and two 20 gram minis, both 45 metres. So that will be either an anthology cowl or some socks, some DK socks for me. And we had little things like this. And that one. Little stickers. We got some markers, I think. I think these were part of what I got. Some little pom-poms, mini pom-poms. And we got a beautiful pen and a really lovely Grocery Girls Knit Alaska notebook. So they were just fantastic little swag bags, and not so little. They were fantastic. And I was desperate for this because I'd forgotten my tape measure. All right. So moving on, we did the drop shoulder cardigan workshop, knitted all that afternoon. Then we went, the next morning, we went into Glacier Bay National Park. Now, Glacier Bay National Park is a pristine wilderness park. You go in on the water, you don't actually get off anywhere. 2 rangers come on board for most of the day. Only 2 ships are allowed in each day, and as we were going out, one was coming in, and we went in the morning. I spent almost the whole morning on the back deck. We watched otters playing. We watched, some people saw the glacier carving. So basically a slice of the glacier at the front comes off and falls into the water. There was multiple glaciers there. We learned about the glaciers and what sort of glaciers they were. Plus we got some beautiful pictures, and we sat and knitted and watched that, and it was amazing. So I'll pop some footage in here. Following that, we had dinner. The next day we went to Sitka in Alaska. Sitka was interesting. I think it was just interesting as a place. We didn't really, I spent a lot of time fixing up an airline snafu where the airline had reverted all the changes I made the week before So they had me on the wrong flight and all sorts of things like that. So, but in Sitka, that was interesting because you unload during COVID, going back, the cruise ships didn't used to stop in Sitka. It was a local community. And anyway, during COVID, they built a marina to land cruise ships a couple of miles out of town. And essentially what they do is all the international shops, because you see the same shops at every stop, all the international shops that are not locally owned have to be out at the marina. And to have a shop in Sitka itself, you have to live there. So that has provided a boon to the town, but not swamp the town, because I believe in winter, someone like Ketchikan and Juneau are pretty much boarded up when the cruise ships are not going through. So it really fundamentally changes the town when the cruise ships go through. And Sitka didn't want their town ruined, or what they perceived to be ruined, and so they put some bylaws in place, and they seem to be working very well. So Sitka was very interesting. The next day we motored to Ketchikan in Alaska. Ketchikan. Oh, my brain. Ketchikan had the totem poles, I think. Anyway, I can't remember just off the top of my head. Oh, Ketchikan. Yeah, no. Ketchikan. We went to a wool shop and I bought some lovely wool, which I will show you here because I didn't bring it back to New Zealand, but I'll show it online. We went to a lovely shop, and it's terrible, I can't remember the name of it. I'll put it in here, and also I'll put it down below. They were wonderful. We were very well hosted there, and I got a little bit there. I actually got some denim, like some cotton there was on special, or linen cotton, I think it was. Can't remember. Oh, it's 3 weeks later and I can't remember. Anyway, it's in Australia and it's nice and safe, and it's not here with me. So we had a lovely time. There was 2 yarn shops in Ketchikan, but we didn't see both. And funny enough, I think Jodi and Tracie went to the other one. They didn't see the one we saw. We were a little bit out of town and we walked up. It was really lovely. They opened for us. They had specials. They had a little stitch marker and a pattern and a discount. And I hope it was successful for them, because they were just a single owner of a yarn shop. They'd sort of semi-retired up there and took up a yarn shop up there, and were doing a great job and had some really lovely yarn. So a lot of the yarn was yarn you could get in North America, but some of it was stuff I hadn't seen before. So it was quite nice. Oh, I got some Christmas sock yarn, biscotti, Christmas sock yarn, a few things. I've got pictures. I'll show you the pictures. And then we motored most of the next day at sea, and that was when we had our final workshop. So the second workshop I took was the Glacier Bay Day, I think. No, it was the day before. No, it was the Juneau Day. So yeah, I think there was 2 days in a row we had workshops. So we did the workshop, and whose did I have? I had Jodi and Tracie's. That was great. Really good. They were fantastic in terms of talking about decay socks and sock construction and folded hems and talking heels and all sorts of things. So we got a little pre-sneak and a copy of the pattern for Happy Days. Hohi and Jodi and Tracie gave us a discount code for specific patterns. And also they were just so generous in terms of the amount of information we were given. And I'm really looking forward, I'm really keen to try some DK socks. I've never tried DK socks before, so I'm really keen to do that. So we had that session, and then the final session was the day we were at sea, coming down from Ketchikan to Victoria. So at Victoria, probably most of the group got off at Victoria in the evening. We were only 3 hours in Victoria, or 4 hours in Victoria, and they buzzed off to the Beehive on Vancouver Island. I didn't go. I just decided that it was very hectic and very busy, and that the shop would be very busy. And my sister lives in Vancouver, and there is a chance that if I go to Vancouver, I could also go to Victoria. But I also had spent a lot of money in the previous 3 weeks, and I didn't think there was anything I needed. And as much as I would love to have gone and seen it, I just felt it was going to be too rushed, and I was fairly tired at that point in time. So the other Lisa and I had a very civil dinner in the dining room, and there was probably a dozen or so people that didn't go, but they, from all accounts, had lots of fun at the Beehive Wool Shop, and they stayed open late for them. They were open at 7 p.m. for them, and they got priority to get off the boat, and they had to get taxis over and taxis back. So it was pretty hectic, but by all accounts, it was a very good time. So then we landed back in Seattle on the 1st of June. That's right, the 1st of June we landed back in Seattle. We disembarked, and I disembarked with the other Lisa, and they lost her bag, and then they found her bag after about half an hour, which was amazing. It's very well-oiled machines. They very rarely lose bags. And then we went and had the most amazing toastie at Dahlia Bakery that I have ever tasted. It was fine. It was ham, hock and cheese, and it had so much butter in it. It was very naughty. So then I flew out that evening, flew out to LA, or that afternoon, flew out to LA, and then left LA about midnight, around about midnight I think it was, and landed back in Sydney, did the Sydney rush. I hate that airport with a vengeance, with a passion. I will do everything to avoid Sydney, but I couldn't in this situation, so I just sucked it up and I did Sydney, and then got back to Melbourne, and my car was waiting there because my husband had left it when he left to go to New Zealand. So I picked up the car and I drove back to our place in Mount Martha. And that was my cruise. In hindsight, I had a wonderful time. I will be dining out on the experience for years. And I think if you get the chance to go, and I know they have their East Coast one coming up, and there's still a few spots left, I would take it in a heartbeat. I didn't talk about Emily and Alexa's class workshop. That was brilliant. That was based on Strange Brew, which I have, but I haven't used. So that was really good to get them to just go through their process. And I think what I learned out of that one, so there's two things I take away from that. The first was, don't sweat the small stuff. You know, most things are fixable. Rip a bit out. That's okay. Just reknit it. Don't sweat the small stuff. The other thing is swatching in project. And I'm like, what? Oh my God. So if you're not sure something's going to work, their principle was take 10, 20 stitches, do that motif, just back and forwards, back and forwards, back and forwards. So you've got a little sample of it, but you're in your project, but you just want to see if that motif's going to work in those colorways or what. And I'm like, and yes, you've got to undo those 20 stitches, but I'm like, oh my gosh, how easy is that? And I used that in this. I just swatched up a little bit and to see how this intersection would look, you know. And I've already used it in another project, and I just think it was amazing. It's something so simple, so small. And the other thing they did was they do, so Emily uses in her yokes, she uses all sorts of weights of yarn. So she could be doing a DK jumper or sweater, and she'll use a fingering. If she's only got that colour, that's all she'll use. And she'll use it singly, or she'll use singles as opposed to cabled yarn, like twisted yarn, applied yarn. And that was radical too. So I was really excited to sort of be a bit liberated from the rules, I suppose, which was really good. So yeah, that was, and they were just so generous. They talked a lot about colour theory, talked about the approach with the Strange Brew yolks, the different styles of construction, and yeah, it was really good, really, really good. So that was Tin Can Knits. So that's the cruise. What I probably wanted, I'd really love if any of you have questions. So if any of you are going on the East Coast, if any of the participants that went with me are listening, please feel free to put in the comments below what your favorite part of the cruise was. I have met some wonderful knitters. I believe I could stay in all sorts of places in the US and Canada now. Lucy, Heidi, Judy, Wendy, all sorts of people. So I was really privileged to be able to get to know some really wonderful people, and I hope that we can keep in touch. I would really like that. So I think, if you get the chance, do it. If you don't, just enjoy living vicariously through podcasts. I think Beth McDonald-Stone has put up a podcast about the cruise as well. And of course, the Grocery Girls have chatted about the cruise on their second to last podcast. And we just had a great time, had an absolute ball. So I can't think of anything else I want to say particularly about it. Food was good, accommodation was good. It's a little bit of an older boat. So the accommodation's a little bit older, but the attentiveness of the staff, all your tips were included in if you bought a particular package. And I don't drink alcohol, but I bought a drinks package that allowed for soft drinks and specialty coffees and that's juices and that sort of thing. So I could get what I want, which was nice. There were some amazing knitters and crafters there attending, and we used to. So right on the top of the ship on level 9 or 10, was it? There was a thing called the Crow's Nest Cafe or Explorations Cafe, and basically it was a full bar come cafe, and they would just rope off a part of it for us in the afternoon. And I think we had a cocktail reception the first night and a farewell the second last night, because the last night they were all off at the Beehive. So yeah, we had a great time. We had an absolute ball. And Jodi and Tracie are exactly as you see them on the screen. That's what you see is what you get. And same with Hohi, and same with Alexa and Emily. It was just really, really wonderful to meet them. So I think that's all the gushing I'm going to do, because it's probably going to be about 45 minutes long anyway. And I will see you next time with a normal podcast episode. I will probably do that in the next week or so and film it from here in New Zealand. Tuesday week, we are heading back to Australia for 8 weeks. We have lots of birthdays in July and August and some big zeros as well. So we're looking forward to those and giving our parents a bit of a hand as well. And then we'll be back here from the end of August for a few months as well. So hope you're well. Hope you enjoyed this little look at the Grocery Girls Cruise Alaska 24. And